Who's going to tell me when is the best time to prune?
Late winter.
Just anybody. What do you think? When's the best time to prune?
Late winter, early spring.
I'll tell you. When the pruners are sharp. When you're ready and you've got your tools in your hand and they're sharp, you can go prune. Now, when you're ready, the tree will be ready. It's not going to damage or hurt. You might lose some of your spring flowers if you're pruning like a maple or a beech or something. There might be some sap. It's not going to hurt the tree. If you go out there and get dripped on, if you go out there and you see something that just, a limb or a branch, something that you want to shape, go ahead. If you've got your tools, your pruners are good to go, you can prune. But the one thing I will say, when it comes to pruning trees, and you were asking me about the cherry, this is a weeping cherry, obviously. And Lynette here wanted to know, how big do they get? With weeping cherry, they are grafted. This is the graft up here. This tree doesn't normally have this long, nice trunk. It's been grafted up here. Y'all can see that, yes? Where it's grafted. And this is where the branches will come out, okay? That is the part that you're going to prune. You control the size. You control the height. It will keep going up from there with branching out, but you pruning it will keep it to the size that you want. Something that, can you see this one here? Let's take that. Yeah. That'll be good. That little branchlet, it'll start to grow down. Fruiting trees in general, suckers. Anybody grow crabs? Crab trees? And any other kind of fruiting tree like the serviceberry, I don't know, with the little white flowers in spring. It's a fruiting tree. They will get suckers eventually. Just shoots coming off the root mass. We've got a product, it's not in just yet, called Sucker Punch. And I really want somebody to tell me that this stuff works. We've had it for a while, and I always recommend it to anybody buying trees that look like they're developing suckers. So keep it in mind. We will get it in. Let's see, what else can I tell you with cherries, or trees in general. Trees in general. Don't do any severe pruning at any time with your trees. Just a few branches every year as you continue to shape it for your landscape, because severe pruning will encourage growth but produce weak stems. And that weak growth will be susceptible to damage if there's a storm or any kind of insect that you're dealing with. And I don't know if any of you have used pruning paint, where they put it over where a limb was pruned. Yeah, it's just something we don't use anymore. So forget that. Hi.
Hi, I have heard that oak trees, you really have to wait until after.
Thank you. Thank you.
Is that correct?
That is very correct. Oak trees, because of the problems they're having with some bacteria and fungus. There's a disease out there that is affecting oaks, oak wilt. So you really have to wait to prune anything on oaks until they're dormant, okay? Like midwinter. And even then, I don't know, it's going to be an issue for oaks. And they have to really be planted in the spring because they take a while to develop a good root. So, and like I said, pruning, when you prune, it'll push out new growth. When you take that, if you take that branch off or you cut back a branch, the side shoots are going to start growing. So you want to just be careful how much you take off. And like I said, there's never a wrong time. It may bleed, but the tree won't die. And taking off too much stresses a plant because those leaves make food for the tree. A stressed plant will just suffer more. Okay? And absolutely no topping. I don't know if you've ever seen it where somebody just tops a whole large tree. Again, that's going to force growth, and those new branches that come out will be weak. They're susceptible to wind damage. So just, how would I say it, judicious removal of branches. That's all you need, really. All right, this one's still small, obviously. Paper bark maples are really a nice small tree.
What is it called?
Paper bark maple, I have one. I love it. But I just wanted to point out, this has a very low branch. This branch isn't going to be, it doesn't go up the trunk as the tree's growing. The scaffold of the tree, the branch of the tree comes up from here. This is the height. This limb will always be on any tree. If you buy a new tree, if you have a tree in your yard, and you have branches that are too low for the look you're trying to develop, that's a branch that might eventually have to come off. I have a paper bark maple. It's been in my yard now about 20 years, and it's still not as tall as the house. So I have a 2-story house, and it's 15, 18 feet. But paper bark, and the other thing I'm going to point out, good leader on this. Check your trees at home. If you've got a good leader, that's where your branching will come and continue the canopy up the tree. So you never want to damage this. Also with paper bark maple, I don't know if you're all familiar with tar spot on maples. Tar spot, it's that big blotch on the leaf, black blotch on the leaf. Yeah, this one never does. It's one maple that I'm aware of that never gets tar spot. I'm sorry?
Is it a true maple?
Yes, absolutely. But it's not, it's still in the Acer family, but it's trifoliatum because of the 3 pointed leaves. It's a pretty maple. Turns beautiful red.
Does it?
Yeah?
Does it push sugar at all in March?
No. No, it's not not a,
Not a sugar maple.
absolutely no.
Should you prune that bottom branch then?
I would definitely wait, let it get some canopy size. Now, at some point, if you had this in your yard, sure, you might want to limb up some of this trunk. You know, just
So if it's not a
just for
question-
the look.
It's not a question of if you're going to prune it, it's more like when you're going to.
Thank you. Yes,
Do you suggest that we just wait a while?
absolutely.
Like that? Okay.
When you prune the bottom branch like that,
No. Nope. The only thing that's going to do that is if you've got, full sun, good root development, good position. Mine's in full sun. And like I said, it's not an overly large maple tree, which I didn't want in my yard. So quite happy with it. Do we want to talk about, shrubs yet? Or should I talk more about trees? I think I'm going to grab the hydrangea over here. You're all familiar with hydrangea trees? Hydrangea trees, they're all over in landscapes these days. Hydrangea trees, again, are a grafted shrub or plant. And the graft on this, right up here. This is a type of hydrangea called paniculata because of the cone shape of the flowers. And it's one type of hydrangea, all the paniculatas, that produce their flowers on new growth. Okay? So it can be pruned this time of year. Already I see a little bit of a problem there, but I think I'll leave it. See, a lot of this got pruned before we put it in the greenhouse. And all these branches have been pruned back. They've been cut back. Can you see okay? So that the side shoots are coming out. When you take off that top of the branch, it removes it's like a hormone, gibberellin or gibberellaric or something, but that suppresses growth further down the branch. And when you prune, you remove it, so that side branching will occur. Okay? All right, and with hydrangea trees, you really have to do that every year, at least every year. Try. It will help develop the head, and the head can get a good size if you didn't keep it in check, so to speak. And you don't want that to happen because this is being supported by this trunk here. And until this grows enough to support that large head, in a windstorm, or if it's in an area that's real windy, that head so big it could kind of cause some lean or even snap the trunk if it's really large. But I can see a lot of growth on the sides here, so this will be a nice tree when spring gets in. And that will happen any day now. Anybody grow I know, hydrangeas? Anybody? Annabelle or okay. Anybody's gonna have hydrangeas. Now that one is the paniculata. Like I said, it's named because of the long cone-shaped flowers, and grows on new wood. I've got one over here.
Can I ask something? How do you know how far back to prune?
Oh, good question. How far back? As you shape the head, look for two side buds. See these two buds here? What if you wanted to take that a little farther down? You could come just above those two buds. See all these little side buds? They're starting to grow because it's been trimmed from up here. Okay, so you've got a couple little buds coming up there. And as you shape it, you'll get to know the tree. all those branches and all those twigs, when I was done, I threw them all in the trash can, right? We have composting in our neighborhood. So they're all in there. Got rid of them, got them out of the way, closed the lid, walked away. A couple days later, my sister went out to her garden. She has a nice vegetable garden. She's cleaning stuff up in her garden, right? She's cleaning and getting all the weedy stuff and twiggy stuff out. And she goes over to the trash can to put her leaf litter debris in. Okay? She opens the lid to the trash can and looks inside. And inside all of that leaf litter are hundreds and hundreds of little tiny baby praying mantis. They were just crawling up to the light when she lifted the lid. And I didn't even see the egg case when I pruned everything back. But as soon as they went into the trash can and I closed the lid, probably got nice and warm, stimulated them, and they hatched. And boy, they hatched. There were hundreds in there, she said. So she kind of dragged it over to the side of the garden so they could at least get out and populate the garden area. So that's why I'm always, don't be in a real big hurry to clean things up, because sometimes there are critters out there who are making use of all your landscape and you're not even aware of it. Did I talk about sucker punch on fruit trees? If anybody has any kind of fruiting tree or trees or shrubs with suckers on them, yeah, when we get the sucker punch in, I really want to know how well this stuff works, because it's encouraging. I mean, suckers on crabs, I've seen crabs that just, the whole thing is ringed with suckers. Shrubs that flower late, Rosa Sharon, I don't know who grows, Rosa Sharon, those shrubs can be pruned pretty early in spring because they bloom, they set their buds and flowers on new growth. So you can wait to prune those. The only other thing I could say this time of year for your shrubs, trees in general, fertilizing isn't so crucial. You want to get maybe a light fertilizing, but I'm more concerned about maybe a fertilizer that has a mineral content. It has more than just iron in it. It has a lot of other minerals. Muracid, although this one's pretty heavy on the nitrogen, but it does have chelated minerals in it. Do you want to take a look at the little thing on the back? I'm going to hand this one to you. This might be good for your boxwood, I don't know, in Lansing for Michigan Landscape Association. And they were talking about a lot of different plants that respond well to hard pruning. Dogwood was one of them. I was surprised. Hi. Viburnum. Okay, again, spring flowering shrub. So you can, after they're done flowering, take them back, clean them up, shape them up. Realize that some viburnums will have berries, so if you do a lot of pruning on it, you might be losing those berries. But yeah, and the thing, viburnum, they're having some issues with viburnum lace testing for pH. I should, I'm going to mention it just because, particularly with the Hydrangea macrophylla, to get those blue flowers, they always say you should make the soil more acidic, like this soil acidifier here. And I don't know, But I don't think anybody here said you're trying to grow the blue ones, right? Annabelle's is usually the most popular because it's very easy. Yeah, it doesn't take a lot of effort for Annabelle's to really grow well. But I'm just going to mention soil. Or anybody grow blueberries? Anybody try blueberries? Try. All right. Did you acidify? Try checking your pH. Blueberries really have to have like 5 or lower on the pH scale. And Michigan typically is 7, 7.5. We're more towards the alkaline side here. We're not acidic at all. The pH soil tester comes in handy, could be useful. If you're growing evergreens like hollies or rhododendrons or azaleas.
What should it be? Mine's like 7.
Oh, you've tested your pH?
Yeah.
Oh, good guy.
It's 7. It needs to be consistently 7 wherever I
Yeah,
go.
and you cannot, I mean, it's so hard to change the pH in soil. It has to be consistently done.
Okay.
You could start with the sulfate when you plant an acid-loving plant, but you have to test every year because soil here is just going to find its natural, normal level. And with the rains we get and the weather we get, it's just going to come up. Soil sulfur would help if you wanted to apply that, maybe not every year, but mixed in with some compost and used as a mulch around acid-loving plants. That would help bring that pH down. Soil pH tester, not a wrong thing to do, just to check, see what you're dealing with.
Oh, I just was wondering, I heard about coffee grounds.
Yeah. If you do composting, or even if you just want to throw some coffee grounds out, I've heard a lot of people use them around their rhododendrons. Everybody knows how to prune rhododendrons, right? After they're done blooming. You don't like prune off the whole branch, you just like crack off that spent flower head so it doesn't make seeds. And when you crack off that seed head, you'll see next year's flowers. Little tiny buds will be coming up next to where this year's flower was growing. Little tiny buds. And those you have to protect so you have flowers for next year. Little itty bitty buds. Paniculata can be pruned just like I was demonstrating on the little tree there. Or on this one here. Again, just at the branch tips. And you'll force growth farther down. That'll help it get bushier. And get your sharp pruners. Go out there and look for little side shoots. Pruning just above those side shoots will help them grow. Carl Foster is one I brought out because I like it. Carl Foster, or this is kind of like a sibling of Carl Foster, but this is already growing. It's a cool season grass. A lot of the ornamental grasses I've got out there, they wait until the temperatures really warm up before they start growing. Carl Foster does not. You won't be just looking at a bunch of grassy, dead, last year's growth. With this, you get instant gratification, so to speak. That's why I like this grass. Having said that, it's a good idea to cut it down like in late fall Because if you wait till this time of year to cut it down, it's already started growing.
How big will that get?
4 feet? Depends.
So if I
This is, oh wait, I'm sorry. This is a variety called Avalanche. Carl Foster is a solid green leaf. Avalanche has a bit of white variegation on it. I just think it's a pretty grass. Sorry.
So I'm being the newbie, I didn't do anything with it in the fall, so do I cut it now?
Yeah, sure. You're cutting back some of the foliage, but
Yeah.
it's,
I'm just seeing the little tiny greeny things coming up now, but I got a lot of brown stuff.
yeah, cut off that brown stuff. Let the little tiny green things
Okay.
grow. This looks terrible. And this is an evergreen grass called Carex. This variety is Ribbon Falls. Carex is evergreen, and I want to find out who cut this down. Because this isn't going to look any better now. All these little leaves have been cut off. Don't cut down Carex. And if you're not sure, just come in and ask me. But I'm not sure how I'm going to treat this now, because normally this has nice long leaves and they kind of fall. Ribbon Falls is the varietal name, and it's not having too much falls now.
Lace mine.
Ah, run away.
I'm trying to camouflage an ugly cyclone fence
Okay.
and the neighbor's stuff. I'm being invasive.
Anybody familiar with silver lace vine?
That stuff that just gets all over the place.
It might. I'm not sure what. Yeah, it can be invasive. It can be really rampant grower. I wanna maybe. Wow, what vine could you use on that fence? You might go for clematis is it paniculata? The autumn blooming clematis might serve you better, and it's not the kind of terrorist that silverleaf, huh?
That's another reason why somebody recommended silver.
Shade, huh? You could try. I don't know if that'd work, but one really good vine for shade is the climbing hydrangea. Familiar with wintergreen? No? Yay! This is a new variety. Wintergreen, I love it. It's just such a nice little ground cover. Real short, spreads, but it needs shade. And it needs, woodsy soil. Very organic. That's a new one for us. It's called just wintergreen. This variety is Winter Splash. I just threw it on the cart because I think they're darn pretty. Definitely shade. But it's ground cover. No, it will not be invasive. It will spread maybe 3-4 feet, but a lot depends on the area that it's in. Everybody here is familiar that we have a lot of introduced species into this country. You know, from Asia, from Europe, just introduced. And so we have problems with some of them being kind of invasive in here. But here, I'm going to throw that out. I just want to say, don't underestimate. A lot of people come into the nursery and they really just want to stick with native plants, and I won't blame them for that. But a lot of breeders have used introduced species with native plants, and they get just a better plant with, a better hardiness. So just so you know, there's nothing wrong trying to be native, but there's nothing wrong with having some introduced species in our landscape. just sticking with that interbreeding can just help plants perform better in general. And it helps them be more adaptable to different insects or diseases. Like, you're all familiar with elm disease because our American elm did not have a history dealing with the introduced, I think it's a beetle that brought the fungus in. I'm sorry?
Was it Dutch elm?
Dutch elm, yeah. Dutch elm disease. But because American trees, if there's an introduced pathogen, insect, or whatever, how do I describe it? They don't have the same evolution, I guess, that history of dealing with a certain insect or disease, so they don't have the resistance that European or Asian introduced plants would. And vice versa. You know, a lot of people will use, introduced landscape material, and it might be susceptible to some of the insects and diseases that we have. And a lot of issues. All right, butterfly bush. Butterfly bush, yeah. There's a lot of issues with them becoming invasive because they will produce seeds. They're from China, butterfly bushes. Yeah. So if they start to reseed, I don't even think you can sell butterfly bushes in California now because of the issue with them reseeding. And but a lot of breeders have come up with some varieties of bushes that are now seedless, along with barberry. I don't know if anybody grows barberry. They have an issue with becoming invasive because they'll throw around seeds. They can reseed, but now there's a variety out there. The Sunjoy series, I think it is, they're seedless. Butterfly bushes, I think it's either the Lo and Behold or another variety that's seedless. Rosa Sharon. They were famous for throwing seeds all over. Now there's varieties out there that are seedless. Yeah, I mean, don't discount like a lot of varieties that might have been problematic plants. Breeders are just doing amazing things, getting plants that are a little more behaved. Can I just say one last thing? If you have to spray this year for anything, bugs or diseases, look for fertilizers, or not, well, yeah, fertilizers too, or any kind of, I wish I had something here. The letters OMRI, Organic Material Review Institute. If you see OMRI on a product, chances are it's safe enough to use. I want to say don't spray anything when there's flowers out because pollinators will be there. Bees are trying to do their thing. Bees have enough problems, so let's not make it worse for them. But yeah, check anything you buy. And this on Bonide, we've got beige on here, means it's organic. I don't see the OMRI on here though. But and other chemicals, if it's a chemical that's manufactured, it'll have like a purple banner on the top. So. Well, it's reasonably safe. Just don't spray it on your spruces. It can discolor blue spruce. What else do we want to talk about? Anything? This is it for me today. I just got to pack up. Oh. Thank you.